Hello, I would like to invite you to slow down and to reflect. And in order to do this, I want to explore my own feeling in my body now. So how do you feel now, standing in front of you? I'm here and you are in the distance, and I can hardly see you all. I feel dazzled by lights, and I feel sort of fenced by the cameras. If I proceed into my feeling, I probably might start feeling like a caged animal or fish in the water tank. And it can get scary. But I won't. And I just now notice that some slight change starts appearing in my body when I'm telling you this. And this is paradoxical. Just by naming something and not even changing anything. Cameras are still on, lights are still there, and I still can hardly see you. But just by naming it, I feel emotional change, emotional shift. As if just naming it draws me closer to you. And I'm not that scared anymore, dare I to say. So that's my learning curve in this. You don't need to do much. You just sometimes need to take little by little. And it's difficult to slow down. I keep asking people to slow down, and they don't. You know, our world is very busy. We are scared if we slow down, we miss something. We keep rushing. But there is important thing to say in this. Our brain is slow. Not that our brain is slow in thinking. Sometimes our brain thinks very quickly, but we have habits which are slow to change. You know yourself, you have a habit, and it takes a long time to change it. Very long time indeed. So if I do something very quickly like that, you won't notice, and you will continue the same way as you were before. So slowing down sometimes is a very important thing in my therapy room as well to repeat. Just let's slow down and see how and where you are. And this was my learning curve here. Sometimes we are also scared to slow down because we are scared of the emptiness we might see if we slow down and look at ourselves. We are afraid to stop at the weekends, don't we? Do you sometimes? We are afraid to stop because when we learn that maybe nobody loves us enough or there is nothing else important to do, and we are scared of that. We are scared to slow down sometimes. So maybe you understand now that I'm going to talk about learning in a very broad kind of sense of a word. We don't learn only at schools, we learn everywhere. We learn in our neighborhood, in the street, we learn on the trips. Do you? You can learn anywhere. And if I ask you to name the most important person in your life, maybe the teacher, I could guess that it could be anyone as well. It could be the teacher, but it could also be your mom, your uncle, your neighbor, your granddad, anyone really. So, I mean, I'm talking about learning in very kind of broad kind of sense. I could tell you something about myself, some honest story. As a psychologist, when I was trained to be a psychologist, I was thinking that in my life, I'm going to help people who want help, who will come to me because they need help. So how surprised I was to realize that most people are not coming to me because of that reasons. They can come for very different reasons. Like, for example, they want to be forgiven for something they feel they've done really wrong. And the minute they feel I'm listening to them, they say, okay, thank you, bye-bye, that's the end of therapy. Or I see people who want to come to me just to show how impossible it is to solve their problem. Their problem is insolvable. So no, thank you, they don't want solution. They want to prove to themselves yet again that the problem is not solvable. So that was a learning curve for me. And I dare saying that for you as teachers, it can be as well some lesson in that. Because probably most of you expect that children come to school because they want to learn, don't you? And how often it is not the case. Children can come to school because, for example, they want to see friends, they want to meet someone, they want to be maybe in a more structured environment than their homes. Maybe they come to school because they are wishing to receive a compliment or something of that sort, just to be said how good you are at something. And maybe for some kids it's more important than actual learning. So that is very important, I think, message to take as well. But we are learning broader in life, and I want to say sometimes we miss how we want people to change or to get the learning through and what actually happens. So, for example, I want to introduce to you the imaginative family. Parents who are really keen for their children, for their child to learn that he or she needs to take care of himself, be careful in life, be safe, because we want our children to be safe. But actually, what child could learn, and is very often the case, the child is not learning how to be safe or to take care of himself or herself, but we learn about what a dangerous place the world is. So actually, the very message we are trying to pass through might get distorted on the way. So we want to teach one thing to the child, and the child learns something else. Another case I would like to bring in is, it's actually about our world now. Don't we all want to be good mothers and good dads, isn't it? We are really giving hard time for ourselves. I have plenty of clients who come to me just because of that. They feel we are not good enough. We are moms who are maybe working a slightly bit too much, and they feel that if only they packed their children's book to school more often, if they sat doing their maths more often, if they went together with them to the extracurricular activities more and more, perhaps their child would grow into more responsible, better human being, being able to take care of themselves and to win the world over. But actually what is very likely that this child is going to learn are two things. This is sad, but it can be that the child would learn that he or she is powerless without his or her mom, that without her doing math together with him, he is nothing. He lost the test. Oh, mom, I lost the test. This must be your fault. So we are exactly raising irresponsible kids in those respects. And on the other hand, and I want to bring another personal example, is I knew that was something wrong when one of my daughters was saying to me, oh, that's all right, mom. You could do the house chores and I could play. You know, when I grow up, I will be doing house chores and my children will be playing. I thought, wow, that's really sad. So in that way, what children learn that, wow, it's not worth growing up, because when I grow up, this is my turn then to do a hard chores, and it's no much fun being grown up. So paradoxically, by trying to reach our very best, we might fail here. And the third case, imagine you are having two kids. You are raising two different kids at your household. One of the kids is very goal-oriented, very intelligent, knows what to study, knows what extracurricular wants to take, very busy with that, reads lots of books. You're very proud with that child, won't you? Won't you be? Would you? Yeah? And another child, it's a different kind of child you have, who constantly keeps saying to you, Mom, boring, don't know what to do, think about something, could we rent a film? Mom, no, I don't want this, and this is terrible. Could I ask you, where would you would you pay your attention? What would draw your attention most? Would you draw, please lift your hand, who would draw the attention to the first child? Right. And who would turn to the bored child, who is really suffering? Who would draw to that child? Yeah, thank you. I can sort of see your hands there. So what actually these kids are learning? If I probably, I wouldn't like it, but my heart will go to the bored child. It's so sad to hear such a young person and feeling so disappointed with life. But if we do turn to this child, what we tend to teach, what else do we tend to teach this child, is that in order to get my mom's attention, my mom's love, to get to the thing I want to get, I need to complain. I need to be bored. And we encourage, also as a society even, we like people who are hardworking and earning, but we support mostly and pay attention to those less fortunate who perhaps can't find work for different reasons, don't want to work, and so on and so on. So this is the sort of what else in my presentation, what else do we learn when we are learning? However, now I would like to look at the day-to-day and what happened here. And as I guess most of you are waiting to hear about this bit, what your kids were up to when you were here having such a great time, because I can hear that you were hearing lots of nice talks. So first of all, I want to say, wow, you're having fantastic kids. You do. You have lovely kids. Very, very, very enthusiastic. The rooms upstairs were just full and filled with enthusiasm most of the time. We were really impressed how self-confident your children are. Most of them really impressed us. We were talking between teachers. We were saying, gosh, I wouldn't be able to go so bravely into such a depth of computer and learning and going deeper and deeper and exploring stuff. I would be scared. Maybe I would feel, wow, maybe this computer will break. And your children, no, they just dived for it and really explored and done this. So that was amazing. I really liked that. What I also thought that it could really go to our education forever and it should continue. What I really liked about it was teachers who were using nonverbal communication and explaining things to kids and really getting through. So they seemed like they are talking different language, but gestures were the same and they were really staying with kids. So explaining instructions with gestures. Or I was amazed and really pleased. The one teacher who was standing on the chair when meeting kids in order to give instructions. How cool is that? Imagine this. You go to the class and your teacher is standing on the desk. That would be cool, wouldn't it? So, and yes, teacher was standing on the table and giving instructions. I thought, wow, this is amazing. Children's eyes immediately lighted up. I loved the use of music in the workshops also. I mean, of course, this is workshops, and you could sort of expect something like that. But imagine, maybe we could adapt this to our everyday life. Maybe, why not music when we are learning physics or maths? Or why not? Appropriate music could help. And it seems like our generations are listening to music more often than we do, doesn't it? So perhaps it could be used, and it was lovely, and especially lovely to see the teacher himself dancing to the music, doing all the rhythmical things. And what was interesting is that kids were repeating it consciously or unconsciously, were repeating with movements and really felt enthusiastic. And probably need to say that that's very important possibility to be able to move in the classroom. Freedom of movement encouraged freedom of the mind, so freedom was great to move, and I liked that. I liked the touch, the spontaneous touch. Teachers were sort of touching kids, and it felt like very warm and welcoming. we think what really got the kids going as well were senses. When we felt different textures, colors, tastes. That was lovely. Kids really were were shining up. The feeling of being a team leader, I just noticed how kids became slowly more and more working in teams. Being in a team is so important these days. These days, when you are trying to look for work, one of the first things you are asked for, are you good in teams? Are you able to work in teams, to share things? We know what a great team TEDx is. Thank you for TEDx. So, I mean, it's amazing if one of your kids could turn into that kind of team member. Real connections. It felt like whenever the child would be given a special attention of maybe a quarter of a minute just to be admired for his work he done, or just special time, just one-to-one, it was something that really kept the kid going. I think one thing which we could sort of need to look more upon is time more adequately planned for the kids. So I felt that for the little ones, really it would have been enough to have only 35 minutes for some of the activities, because it is about attention span also. But I was surprised whenever the music is involved, the senses are involved, more and more colors are involved, time can go on much longer. As well, we need to be very careful about not taking away the responsibility of a child. Whenever the child was feeling that the activity will be finished, whether with him or without him, he would be less willing to be involved. He really was visible in the workshops. There were more and more children sitting on the side whenever the teacher himself was sort of finishing stuff, because it doesn't matter how it looks in the end, the final product. I think it could be this or that way, as long as the child himself has done it. But so emphasize two most important things. I would say that being on the edge of danger. So it was slightly like, wow, I'm playing with batteries. With electricity, my family wouldn't let me in. So that was something. And quality of the leader himself. So you can't pretend you are able to stand on the table or dance to the music if this is not your stuff. You have to be that kind of person to be able to do that. So in the end, what I want to say is that it doesn't matter that much what you teach. It's important how you teach and what kind of person you are seen by the children themselves. Are they seeing you as the teacher, as someone they can idealize with? And to the final bit, I would just want to say, be careful, watch out. You are being framed. You are being evaluated. You are on fire, but probably for the different reasons than you think. Thank you.